This video is about emerging treatments that may one day be used on a mass scale for treating mental illness. This is in addition to all of the mainstream treatments that are outlined in your textbook that include things like psychotherapy or prescription drugs. In this case, we're looking at other types of treatments which are starting to evolve in terms of programmatic research, but aren't quite at the point where we can use them effectively as therapies. So the first one is exercise and meditation. And the reason that we know a lot about these things is because people have been doing them for a long time and reporting mood benefits and other benefits in terms of mental health and physical health. So only recently have researchers really started to put effort into studying this and trying to come up with theories as to why this might be happening. One idea is that exercise and meditation together promote neurogenesis, which is the creation of new neurons in the brain and connections between existing neurons. The theory is that with new neural connections, that we experience enhanced mental and physical health, and this is manifesting in terms of changes in people's moods. They're less likely to be anxious or depressed if they're exercising and meditating. And mental and physical training, or MAP training, specifically refers to doing exercise that is aerobic exercise for 30 minutes, followed by 30 minutes of meditation, and doing that as part of a routine. So not just once in a while, but at least a few times a week, if not every day. The second is about creative outlets. So things like art, music, dance, and sports. There are a couple of theories here. One has to do with stimulus variety, that humans generally crave variety in terms of things like sounds and colors, and we like to be in nature a lot. So if we spend all of our time in buildings where everything is square-shaped and kind of rigid and boring, then we feel more anxious and depressed, especially if we're living a sedentary lifestyle where we're sitting looking at computer screens at a desk all day. So these creative outlets allow for us to engage more of our sensory processing and also get into what's called a flow state. Flow happens when we experience a kind of immersion in the activity we're doing. Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi is the researcher who coined the term flow to refer to this mental state where we feel really, really happy with what we're doing. We lose track of time, and this is very common in people who report doing lots of creative stuff, like art and music and dance, for example. The third alternative treatment involves changes to people's diets, and the theory is that when we have more beneficial probiotics in our diet, that there's more serotonin created, and this is going to have the effect of making us feel calm, less anxious, less depressed, etc. The evidence here is particularly strong in experiments with mice. Here we see a lot of benefits in terms of the way the mice behave and their symptoms of anxiety and depression being relieved, but we see similar evidence in studies with humans as well, although those studies tend to be a lot smaller. And finally, we have evidence that drug therapies such as psilocybin mushrooms can be effective, especially for reducing people's fear of death. And there's some evidence that when people take these substances, there's reduced blood flow to the amygdala, which has to do with powerful negative emotions like anxiety and anger. For all of these alternative treatments, I look forward to seeing more research and development, and maybe at some point an integration into mainstream therapy practices.